มีครับอาจารย์ครับ
So it seems that the trip to Phnom Penh was very useful, and a lot of people appreciated it a lot. And a lot of people attended the discussions, Ajahn.
Oh, was it translated to Cambodian?
Yes, from Thai to Khmer. Yes.
Oh, is there, can you send me, hope send me link? Because so
I
I can
don't
send to
I don't have it. Maybe
maybe
Hung
we
or
can ask.
someone else. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I can then send to
The
Sotha.
Cambodian ladies. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good idea. Maybe Hung can help arrange it for you.
Okay, I'll ask her later for the links to from Thai to Khmer.
Hello, Mai Sotika. Xin chào.
Xin chào.
Hey, my hand.
Hello, Alberto, Azita. Okay, Jan is here. I think we can start. Does anyone have anything they would like to bring up? Hung, were you going to mention about the questions the monks asked in Cambodia? Perhaps there are any points to discuss further. You mentioned yesterday they were asking something about was it about the reason for ordaining, or what was
Yes, to become a monk. Yes, the monk was asking about the reason how to be a monk. So the question Thanachan asked them is to be eradicate all the kilesa, do we need to be a monk for everyone? Yes, or just a person who accumulated to be a monk
ไม่ได้ยิน
only?
เดี๋ยวนี้ค่ะไม่ทราบเดี๋ยวให้เขาได้ยินหรือเปล่าเดี๋ยวเพิ่งเกิดตั้งเยอะ
ได้ยินค่ะธนาชาญค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
เลยครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ Can you
สวั
hear
ส
me
ดี
now?
ค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
Yes,
ได้ยินครับ
we can hear you. Ajahn, Hung was, you can just repeat it, Hung, that Hung was just mentioning about the monk's question in Cambodia about the reason to ordain, the reason to become a monk. And you mentioned, Hung, that Ajahn said that the purpose is to eradicate all kilesa. Is this what you said?
Yes, yes. So the question Thanachan asked the monk is, do we need for all of us to be ordained as a monk to eradicate the kilesa? Is for all of us, or for only the person who accumulate as to be a monk? But on the other day in the discussion, Thanachan also said that to be a monk is the life of the monk is a more I mean that more purifying, more as my understand is more better. I mean that accumulate kusala is more than our lay person. So could you please elaborate more about this point?
No matter monk or lay people, man or woman, can they all become enlightened when they are right conditions only?
Yes.
It doesn't matter to be monk or no, not a monk. Anyone who hear or listen to the teachings, to the truth, what about the understanding? Understanding isn't monk or lay people or anyone at all. Is that right? Otherwise, Buddha would have everyone become monk. But in truth, it's not like that at all. All depend on the individual's accumulation. That's why there are monks who become enlightened, and there are lay people, male or female, enlighten the truth. Is that right? In Tipitaka? But
Yes.
you see, the one who has become monk, no understanding enough to become enlightened, they can be lay people if they like, and then they can become monk again, depending on condition, each moment. Is that right?
Yes.
Would you like to be a monk or a nun?
No.
But
No.
you can understand the teachings.
Yeah.
Right now, some monks or some nuns, many of them didn't understand the teachings. So what is the most important? The very subtle path leading to understand the truth of this very moment as Buddha had enlightened. Each split seconds, arising and falling away by conditions, experience different object and then gone instantly. Instantly, what does it mean? So very subtle. That's why listen. And it does not matter how many words you have listened. It depends on understanding only one word, very deeply, like Dhamma. See, we don't know now all are Dhammas yet until there is understanding of the meaning of each word, which represents a reality right now. For example, seeing. We just talk about seeing, not hearing, not thinking, because at moment of seeing, there's no hearing, there's no thinking. So is it just for monk or for everyone, depending on accumulation, to become monk or not to become monk? I do not want to become nun or monk at all. See? But there can be the understanding of one's own daily life by accumulations. Each moment is conditioned, no matter laughing, crying, thinking, liking, playing. That very moment is already arisen by conditions. And if there's no understanding of what is there now, just think about other things, no moment to understand this very moment which arises and falls away. That's why it has to be so very natural, as it's all by conditions, arising and falling away in split seconds, on and on and on and on. The world of Atta or the world of Anatta, depending only on understanding the truth of this very moment. Monk or no monk or not a monk, just lay people can understand the words of truth. Not just to believe, but how much understanding of the very subtle reality enlightened by the Buddha after many, many, many years and years to understand the truth of this moment. That's why who understand the truth, right understanding of the path is there. It begins to let go at moment of understanding. So very, very little according to understanding at moment of hearing only. So is it subtle?
Very
In
subtle,
great
Ajahn.
sense? Is that what Buddha enlightened and taught the truth for everyone to understand that the truth is so very subtle? The only way is understanding firmer and firmer of just one word like Dhamma and Anatta. No matter monks, lay people, anyone, listen. And Panya is so truthful. When it's Panya, it's not one's own thought about Panya, but it's the Panya itself. It's so very true to the truth. And begin to understand a little more. Never enough. As long as right understanding hasn't reached degree of enlightening the hidden truth, the subtle truth of what is there now, arising and falling away. Is there still questions about minds?
No. But you just mentioned a lot in other discussion about
Minds.
the world of Atta and the world of Anatta. So, as my understanding is the world of Atta is at the moment of wrong view.
Becoming a
And the
monk
word-
is wisdom. Just to be mind for this and that. No understanding, no chanda, no sattva of listening to the teachings, not understanding who's the Buddha, what's the words of Buddha. We don't know. That's why we can't pay respect to all of them. As long as it's not moment we see with our own eyes that he's doing wrong. No respect to the Akusna, especially monks at moment when he is doing wrong, and we see that with our own eyes.
I think because of wrong understanding, it's very common for people to ordain because they think it will be a faster, easier, better way to develop the path. They think because there will be more free time, less worldly concerns, no need to work, earn money, and so on, or to live quietly in the forest or in a temple, then it will be better for their practice, better for their study. But this is all because of the idea that practice means doing something, that there has to be the attending to particular objects, the focusing on the breath and so on. Time has to be set apart for these practices and so on, and that family and work and going to the market or hinder the practice. But it's all because of wrong understanding, or because of the idea of certain situations being preferable. And they say, well, the Buddha lived in the forest and was a monk, and so they wish to copy this lifestyle. But they don't listen to what the Buddha taught about the truth at this moment. So you asked about the world of Atta and Anatta. So it's all the world of Atta, all the world of I and particular situations, and it's not the right study of Dhamma. It's not the understanding of Dhamma. So who today has the accumulations to really happily and easily lead the life of a very good monk? And where is it possible for this to occur? Because what's most important is the development of understanding. There's a little bit of interference. So the most important thing is the development of understanding. Otherwise, one spends one's time thinking about, well, perhaps if I was a monk, or I ordained, or I lived in the forest or a quiet place and there'd be more seclusion. It's just lots of long, long stories distracting from the understanding now. That is the world of Atta. Something, someone, some place, some situation, anything other than just understanding the Dhamma now has arisen by conditions, anatta.
Thank you, Sarah. Ajahn. It's another story when we sit on the bus from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap. So we saw in the postcard they introduce the Angkor Wat to everybody, and at the screen they show that a monk to take a picture of the Angkor Wat. So I consider it's wrong, it's improper that the monk can use a telephone to take a photo, but in reality it's a moment of attachment to the screen or to the visible or the scene or the view is in reality is only attachment, but for the monk is improperly, but for the lay pupil it's very normal. But can you elaborate more about the different and we consider that is like someday Thanachan said that when we offer money to the monk, it can lead to the monk to the reborn in the unpleasant
Lead them to
plane.
hell.
And it's the same as when they use the telephone to take some picture, not as a lay pupil, so it may lead them to be reborn in the unpleasant plane. Is it right? Or can you elaborate more about this?
So this is why one won't give a telephone or to a monk, because it's not appropriate, and a camera for a monk is not one of the requisites, so one won't encourage this lifestyle or this way of behavior, because one has studied enough of the Vinaya to know that this is not the right way. But at that moment of seeing the monk take the photo or whatever, what about one's own chitta? It comes back to one's own chitta. So is there kusala, is there metta, or is there aversion at that moment? So it's always back to now, because one can't control the world. One can't change the behavior of others. So we help those who we can help, who are interested to listen and consider what is appropriate. But it's always about one's own chitta at those moments. There can be metta even at that time, knowing what difficulties and what ignorance there is being accumulated. But if there's judging and aversion at those moments, then that is what's being accumulated. It's just the way of the world anywhere. It's the same in Thailand or Cambodia or England or Australia. Even in the Buddha's time, lots and lots of ignorance, lots of wrong understanding, lots of wrong practice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perhaps Ajahn would like to add more to your question.
May I say something before while waiting for Ajahn?
Go ahead, Lian.
I noticed that there's another view about becoming a monk. From what I've learned, that is, people think that there will be a great merit if we live a life as a monk or nun. And for that reason, people choose to live that life, in order to gain merit. And evidence of that is these days in the retreat, there are trial, of ordained to live a short, like a week or two or a month as a monk or nun. Some people actually shave their head, or some people choose not to, and to keep the precepts and things like that as a monk or nun. And they believe that like even a short period of time living that life can gain a lot of benefit, like merit. So I think that's what I've heard, and I want to hear from your comment. But I actually did ordained like a trial, for like a week or something previously too, and for that purpose, because that's what I learned previously. So I want to hear more of your comments. Thank you. And thank you, Jonathan, for the email you post about Ottapan Hiri. I read, but I haven't had a chance to reply.
Oh, that no problem. Thanks for bringing up the topic, because it encouraged me to, when I looked at Nina's chapter on that, I thought, well, I'll just summarize, and because quite a lot of people, this often comes up and people are interested in it. But I think, as we discussed, they are not mental factors that are likely to appear to be known. So they are there. But just getting back to your question about temporarily becoming a monk or a nun in order to gain merit, this is a cultural belief. There isn't any substance in it. It's not based on the Buddha's teaching at all. The Buddha never encouraged anyone to temporarily ordain. In fact, he made it clear that becoming a monk or nun and then leaving the order, falling away from what one has undertaken, is not a good thing. But it happens, but not to be encouraged. So if a person becomes a monk, it should be a commitment. It should be for the right reason, which Ajahn has discussed and explained to us. Just talking generally for a moment, doing anything in order to make merit is not going to be kusala. Whether it's releasing animals from the cage or giving money or following certain ascetic practices, none of these things done for the purpose of gaining merit will be kusala. And so the same applies to becoming a monk. And in fact, it is becoming a monk for the wrong reason. It can't be kusala. So there's no value in it whatsoever. And if one was really interested in leading that life, the monk's life, one can do so even as a lay person to a large extent. So if one really sees value in fewness of wishes, fewness of possessions, following sort of similar rules, then one can do so as a lay person. It's not necessary to ordain or join a group. That doesn't add anything to the act that's or the life that's being led in a modest way. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, I think it's all wrong understanding and wrong practice from the start. First of all, the idea of shaving one's head in order to have great merit and which will bring good results in future. No understanding at all of what merit is. No understanding of how goodness or merit accumulates, because it's just an idea of doing something for oneself to have good results and to make merit. And the idea that this is how one keeps precepts is also no understanding of what is meant. For example, is there an intention to speak unkindly when one goes out in the market and someone bumps into one? So what about abstaining from speaking unkindly at that moment? So at that moment, it is right speech when one speaks kindly instead of angrily when someone bumps into one, for example. But if one just makes the intention, oh, one won't kill or won't steal, but what about all the moments of akusala when there's attachment and one would like something that doesn't belong to one? What's the use of saying one's not going to kill, one's not going to steal? What about the cheetahs throughout the day? What about the cheetahs now? Is it kusala now? Is there merit now? At moments of kindness or discussing, sharing Dhamma, understanding, there is merit. But at moments of just wishing to have merit, thinking that by going on a retreat or shaving one's head or putting on a white dress will lead to more merit. There's no understanding at all. So for those people, it would be far more useful to spend the couple of weeks discussing Dhamma, reading the text together, listening to the Dhamma, than shaving their heads and putting on white robes and calling themselves nuns, for example. There are no nuns today anyway, so it's just a change of costume. As Jonathan says, it's a cultural idea.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan and Sarah, for your explanation. Yeah, I can understand it. Like with the wrong intention, there won't be any kusala at that moment. However, I'm thinking during that course of temporary ordain, like the word Jonathan used, there may be moment of kusala, right? And that can be now, that can be in everyday life too. Yeah,
What would be examples of moments of kusala for the person who has ordained?
Maybe to show to care for others, to show respect for others, to be contented with whatever, like easy to be pleased. maybe purposely. Like I try
you
to.
You either are or are not a person who is easily pleased. So you can't change that aspect of your nature by putting on robes.
And previously, we was taught that we will try to stick to the precept, and that's when there's a sila. But now I know sila.
Yeah, but it's an engineered situation.
Yeah, it is. We walk and talk gently and nicely.
It's just an act.
Yeah.
It can't be kusala.
But I was thinking that, I mean, it can be moment of kusala, like, like just speak nicely to other, and that can come from just the tendency, the normal, the accumulated tendency from that individual. And like it doesn't have to be in that situation. That can happen in any time, other time in life too. And I can understand that. Yeah.
Well, yes, for example, one can resolve to be kinder to people for, this week or whatever, or it's my birthday, I won't say any I won't get angry for the day, and but this is not the same as kusala at all. It's not something that arises naturally. So it's behind it, there's an idea of controlling the situation. So there's an idea of
Yeah, that's a good
being
point.
being in charge of
Mm.
of the jittas.
Like I try to, or I think I can do, or
Yes.
yeah.
And
So
then
the
what
idea
about
of
the
self,
conceit? The conceit when you
yeah,
are successful in
yes,
being moderate in eating less and
that
eating
too.
more slowly, and then walking more, not hurrying here and there, and all that kind of thing. But it's just a condition for more conceit.
Yeah, yep, I can see that now. Thank you for pointing that out,
Mm.
Jonathan. So there's a lot of aikusala there.
Well, that's in fact the case. I mean, unfortunately, because wouldn't it be good if we could develop kusala by setting certain conditions and situations? But that's not how it works.
Jan, were you able
Smiling.
to hear the discussion and Leanne's points?
Yes. What citta is there at the moment of just wanting to become a monk? What citta is there? No understanding of the teaching, not like those people in the Buddha's time at all.
Thinking with attachment, Achan.
So is it wholesome from the
No.
very beginning? So after becoming a monk, keep on the way lay people's life by attachment and the idea of I'm a monk when there's no understanding of the teachings at all. Is it dangerous for lay people when there is attachment, wanting the camera and what they want? It does matter because it's by conditions. But for monk, what about the intention? What about the kusala? Any understanding of Buddha's life, of monk's life? The Vinaya, led only by the Buddha himself, just only for monk to live that way. Very, very wholesome speech to body and space. See, all kusala in a day with different levels, conditioned by different levels of understanding. See, but when there's no understanding, what level of kusala is there? None. Right? Just like lay people, just one. What to be seen, heard as before. So it's so very dangerous if anyone has wrong understanding of the reason why Buddha led such mad behavior for monks in a day to decrease the attachment, to develop more time, to consider the truth, sharing the truth, hearing or reading, or what about and having understanding of the teachings of the truth. Just like any lay people who study carefully, it's the way to pay respect higher and higher when there's more understanding of the truth, which is so very subtle that after hearing, considering, if there's no understanding of the truth right now, life will go on and on and on as usual, and more ignorance and attachment. See, that's why all depends on understanding the subtle reality, even right understanding. It's not just hearing all dhammas are anatta and would like to be monk. One has to consider the truth on and on and on, to be sincere to the way one lives. Even lay people can follow the rule gradually because of understanding. It's a little more understanding of the danger of akusa. That's why it's not just follow the tradition or just want to become monk for some time, but no understanding. And when there's no understanding and life is as usual as lay people, is that monk? And what is the point, the moment of wanting to be monk? See, no understanding. So it is loba. That's why be truthful to the truth. Sincerely, truthfully, to understand each word of the Buddha teachings, just for understanding the nature which is so very subtle. Otherwise, we just take refuge in Buddha, just follow the words or the chanting and so on. But that is not any understanding of the value, the precious of the great understanding and virtues and compassion that Buddha had developed on and on and on until Buddha became enlightened. So that's the only way. That's why when you read Vinaya, that one should read too, because the three Tipitaka, just for understanding, to gradually let go the word of self as before, to begin to open up the path by the light of the meaning of the truth of the Buddha. Otherwise, it seems like one can be Buddhist just by recite the words Buddhang Saranang Gacchami and so on. What does it mean? So each word just represents what is there right now that is so very subtle. Begin to pay respect deeper and deeper and deeper to the understanding, which get more and more understanding. Each moment of understanding the subtlety of a reality, it is the way, the only way to realize the truth. What is seeing, atta or anatta, as it just taken by ignorance to be I or something, it's just the word of atta. The whole world, each moment of atta. But when there's the understanding of the anatterness of what is there, it can be atta, no matter taking it for people or something and so on, just a reality, condition to arise. It can be understood any moment like now. Seeing is there. No one has made it arise at all. It's there already by conditions. No understanding of it. Even it's from birth to death. So how can there be the respect to the Buddha without any understanding of his virtues at all? That's why no matter who's monk or lay people, not just wanting to be monk, but to understand that it's the word of atta. Before it can be the word of anatta, it has to be sincerely, truthfully to what is there, no matter wearing what. But the understanding is there. Better than the best of all Dhammas. So be true to the truth. Show respect to the monk because we don't know what is that person's attention to be a monk, intention to be a monk. But it doesn't matter because in the Buddha's time, the monks are those who just what Buddha said and follow the truth until become enlightened. It doesn't matter what time is there. But monk life, monkhood is not the way he before becoming a monk, just live like a person, even wearing the robe. What about their behavior? The same as being lay people, or a little more different at any time? Who knows about that person's chitta? But the moment of seeing that he is doing something wrong, see, shall we respect the person who is doing wrong? That's why without sincere and understanding the very, very subtle of each reality as understanding or attaching and so on, no way to understand the virtues of the Buddha at all. Just pay respect. That's why each word has its own very, very deep meaning. That's why we do not stop, just listen again to just the one word, even the same word, Dhammas, anatta, never enough, because what is heard on and on and on and on has to be more understanding of Dhamma and anatta. And this is the way, the only way. Everyone knows it's the only way, but no understanding enough. What does it mean? What does it mean by the word? The way, the path leading to enlightenment. What is meant by enlightenment, and what is meant by the way? Not just the moment when it is the moment of enlightenment, but now understanding the truth of what is there. Otherwise, how can there be the moment of enlightenment? Just wish to be this and that for a while, or just go to this and that and do something. No understanding of this moment. That's why before we can read more, there must be firm confidence of the truth that all Dhammas are so very subtle because they are now appearing. No understanding of the truth that Buddha had enlightened at all. Is that true? And learning about Vinaya, right understanding, begin to understand more about one's way of speech or deed of speech and deed. Even at this moment, moving one's hand, there is attachment, unknown or unknown. The world of Atta is completely rule the world, the life, until there is the understanding of the truth from the enlightened one out of his enlightenment. How deep it is. That's why just understand each word a little more, a little more. That's the only way to let go a little more of the idea of self and the world of Atta. Before it can be the world of Anatta, right understanding has to be there. From moment to moment is that developed the only way, because it is right understanding. And the other factors, right, Samma Sankappa, see, it does not touch the other object. It just touching and touching on the word, on the thinking, and on to consider the truth. Otherwise, how come to be the moment of understanding what is there as natural as usual hardness now? It has to be developed to be developed until it shows up as what Buddha taught, Dhamma, Anatta. All depends on understanding the truth, not by oneself, because all of us do not have such level of accumulation of right understanding and wholesomeness as parami enough to be Samma Sambuddha. But the moment of understanding what he said correctly, it's the moment of understanding the truth. It's moment of understanding who's the Buddha and what is Dhamma, which is the factor of enlightenment, Bodhipakkhya Dhamma. Not all Dhammas are Kusala, also the refuge, only the Bodhipakkhya Dhamma. And learn to understand what is what, little by little, but understanding has to be there. Deeper and deeper and deeper. So very subtle enough to see what is there, which the other might take it for kusala, but in truth it's not. So the one who understands this truth or this point or what the teachings of the Buddha about right now is bhikkhu, seeing the danger of samsara, or not a bhikkhu, even there's no robe, putting on.
Thank you so much, Ajahn. Wonderful explanation. Yeah, so
Because, yes, because of understanding and considering just Dhamma and Anatta, on and on and on. No matter in what aspect, in what manners, all about Dhamma, Anatta.
It's very subtle and tricky, Leanne, because your comment, well, even on those retreats or even when shaving one's head, even if it was for the wrong, just for gaining merit or for the wrong purposes, you said, well, there can still be kusala at those times on those retreats or in that lifestyle. And these were the same comments that our friend was making at our last breakfast in Bangkok when going off to a retreat, that there can still be moments of kusala. And of course, it's true, there can be kusala anytime. But the point is that without the development of right understanding of dhammas and Satyaparami in particular, what is akusala will be taken for kusala on and on. The peaceful quiet when no one is speaking will be taken for following the precepts and for kusala and for calm. So one will think the more of this lifestyle, the better, or by wearing simple clothes and not being surrounded by possessions, there is less attachment. So one deludes oneself, thinking that there is more kusala and that kusala is being developed. So it doesn't mean there cannot and are not moments of kusala, just like you said, consideration for the others and showing kindness. But when it is wrong understanding rather than right understanding being accumulated, then there is not the truthfulness about the akusala arising in a day, or that clinging to the quiet, the calm, to the peaceful life, to not being disturbed by others or the world and so on. So the truthfulness always has to be back to this moment. If one thinks that at that time when one's living like that there is more good in the day than when one's working and living one's usual life, then there's something wrong with the understanding. Because the understanding of seeing, of hearing, of kindness, of meanness, it's just the same here or there. Seeing is just seeing.
Yeah.
Is there in any interest in understanding the seeing as it is? Or is one just clinging to so much to what is seen, what is experienced, that one kids oneself that there is more understanding than there is. So it's very subtle.
You just mentioned truthfulness to this moment, and then Ajahn also mentioned in her explanation about being truthful to the truth. I know this has been explained probably many times, but I don't know whether I have a grasp of that. Does that mean without understanding, there won't be truthfulness or truthful to the truth? So
Right.
there must be understanding to be
There must be
in
understanding.
order to have to be
Yes.
truthful to the truth. Is that
Yes.
right, Sarah?
And without understanding, it's my consideration, my kindness. It's not truthful to the truth that actually the kindness doesn't belong to me. The consideration is not mine. It's not I who can observe precepts. And what does it mean anyway? Like Jonathan said, or John said, if one just recites and repeats that one's following these precepts, what does it mean anyway? It's not being truthful to the clinging at this moment, the clinging to oneself in particular, the clinging to having kusala, the clinging to calmness, to the clinging to the outer appearance, the conceit, and so on, not being truthful to the fact that life at this moment is just moments of seeing and hearing, thinking with ignorance, thinking with attachment, on and on. No one here, anatta. So without understanding developing, there cannot be the development of such a parami or any of the other paramis. And without the support of those paramis, the understanding cannot develop either. So they have to develop together.
Very nice explanation. Thank you so much. Yeah, I kind of get it now. Sorry, but can I say one more thing?
Go ahead. No need to, sorry.
When we're talking about this, I'm thinking about the thing that Sister Như Hoa spoke about on the Sunday yesterday's Dhamma discussion. She said a wise friend is the one to see mistake as mistake, or a kusala as a kusala. But I think her word was mistake as mistake. So that, from my understanding, is similar to what you just said there. So it's for like a wise friend, that means a person who, with understanding, will help to remind or to see mistake from others, or like just a mistake, which is the Dharma. See Dharma as a Dharma, not like you are the bad person or you make a mistake. So when I heard your explanation, it went through my, like I have that reflection. I don't know if it's right.
Right. And Ajahn pointed out that the good friend can only be one with understanding, who can point to, for example, one speaks wrongly in a way that is harmful to others or not kind. The good friend, as you say, can point out the danger of accumulating that habit, that akusala. It's not someone, but it's a habit that is harmful because it accumulates on and on. And as she also pointed out, of course, the best of good friends is the Buddha. So that's why we listen to the Buddha, study the Buddha's teachings, because without the Buddha, how would we know that the kindness or the wrong speech is Dhamma, not anyone's at all? how would there ever be any letting go, clinging to the idea of self? How would there ever be any exit from the utter world without the very good friend?
Yes, in the conventional world, being a good friend means being loyal to the other person, no matter what they do. So if the other person is misbehaving in some way, the good friend won't tell his wife or partner, for example. Now, the point about the good friend is that when behavior is wrong or speech is wrong, they won't encourage or support it. So they may or may not choose to point out the error to the other person. I mean, there's no rule about this. The fact is, though, that they encourage one in kusala and discourage one's akusala as far as that's possible. Yeah.
Great comment. Thank you, Jonathan, so much. I know if anyone else want to ask something. Otherwise, I will ask
I
more.
was reading, sorry, go ahead.
Please go ahead after you. Thanks.
Yeah, I was reading about Hiri and Otapa, and I was reading that Otapa is more like related to the external conditions, like when hearing the teachings, it's like the condition for understanding, and it's a it helps conditions or tapa of the listener. It's a condition for the otapa of the listener who is listening to the teachings, and I thought this is relevant to this aspect of the listening and considering and understanding what one says, especially if the one speaking is truthful to the truth, and that it can conditions. It is a condition for, according to my understanding of this is from the Atasalini, which is can be a condition for otapa. While for hiri it's different because it's more like one owns one owns previous accumulations of hearing the teachings. So it's like a personal a personal cause for hearing to arise, and it gives different aspects of hearing, like the one's own social status, for instance. Like one doesn't do kusala because it's like being born in a wealthy family or something like that, and so it is not fit for him or her to behave badly, like I don't know, maybe saying, swearing, or that sort of things. And it also it's internal, because it's like when it's I'm sure I remember the other one. But anyway, there are a few things which I think are really deep and are really interesting, and I don't know. I just thought that it would be. I think it was related to what was talking about the teachings and the listening and what we do on daily basis, and it's all different aspects which we may not be aware of. Thank you.
And it's now in daily life, like at this moment, like even now when listening, kusala, akusala, at moments when there's no kusala, then no hiri, no otapa. At those moments, like moments of being distracted or bored or clinging to the sound, or no hiri otapa, moments of thinking of becoming a nun, no hiri otapa. So this is truthfulness, coming back to this very moment, understanding what is true even at this moment, no matter the circumstances, whether one's listening to someone speaking or looking out of the window. It's just daily life. Kusala, akusala, vyakata dhammas, from moment to moment. One may think of not speaking harshly because of one's family or because others will blame one, but no hiri or otapa those moments because there is clinging or concerned about others' condemnation, for example. So that's why it's subtle. Whatever we read can only actually be known by understanding here and now, as Ajahn always reminds us. Thanks, Alberto. Leanne, did you want to bring up your other comment?
It's a different topic. When I was listening to Ajahn explanation earlier, and Ajahn did mention about respect, and then it went through my mind is, oh, without understanding that would there be respect? Because I often see or think, I think in general, people would think that if someone bowed to the Buddha statue, is to show respect. And now I question, is there really respect at that moment? At the moment of bowing to the Buddha statue? Without understanding, would there be respect? So that's just question in my mind, and I'm thinking there may not be. There may be moment of a kusala. It can be. It can be moment of kusala, but I can't figure out how, when. but at the moment of no understanding and thinking that just thinking Buddha like a special saint or deity, then that bowing, or I bow to the Buddha in order to to gain something or have something, then there won't be any kusala, right? So it still come back to understanding. Like with understanding and truly value the Buddha's teaching, there would be true respect. Is that right? That's just
Right.
my reflection. Yeah, during when I heard the word respect.
Yeah, as you say, one can be in front of the Buddha statue, one can light incense, one can present flowers, beautiful, beautiful flowers, but without any understanding, then there's the idea of someone or a deity or performing merit and getting results. No generosity, no kindness, no consideration, no understanding. So no merit at all, those moments. So that's why without understanding and the other paramis, then very little kusala, and even there is no giving at that moment. So that's why the truthfulness is so important.
But the moment of like giving, offering flowers, would there be still kusala in some way? Like, I'm just
What
wondering.
about the chitta at that moment? If there is understanding and one reflects and pays respect to the great virtues of the Buddha at that moment, and the great compassion, the great understanding, which makes it possible for us to listen to the teachings today, then there can be true respect for the Buddha. The more understanding, the greater respect. But without any understanding, just offering the flowers, repeating Buddha, Buddha, thinking of the merit, any kusala?
Leanne,
Yeah, sorry, can I just quickly set this, Sunara, following on the point I made, and also Sarah just said. I noticed, like, from my small group of friends, and whenever there's an event, around, say, Vesak or any other occasion, there is a particular friend or two offering a lot of beautiful flowers, orchids, and they're very expensive. And I can see that from this, two friends, they've generally, they're very generous. They're very generous, and they would bring in, beautiful, expensive flowers. Yeah, so I was just thinking, with that moment, there is generosity, and like genuine generosity there, and that could be kusala. Am I right in saying that? Thank you.
So only the understanding can know at that moment. Only Panya can know. Generosity to who? Yes. Maybe they are thinking of their friends and showing kindness to their friends. Who knows? Only Panya can know.
But
I
it
think
can't be generosity unless there's a recipient. Can it?
But then the rest of the group, like everyone attended that event, was very joyful, very happy to see the Buddha statue and the shrine, with like beautiful flowers. Then that bring joy, to everyone attended.
But this is not necessarily kusala, being happy because it's a nice occasion.
I think too, Leanne, that
So,
it's always going to be, you can't see kusala. You can't see it. So
true.
you and that's fundamental, no matter, it's like and I think it's not easy to grasp in many ways, because there are many outward signs that seem to be like that, and that's been alluded to in different ways. That when Ajahn spoke about, just because you say Buddham Saranam Gacchami, well, they can amount just to that, just words. And so there is no necessarily any understanding of the depth of really what that's meant. Is there a genuine appreciation of what refuge really means? When you say those words, I go to the Buddha for refuge, what does that mean? And Ajahn has so often alludes to the point that unless there's a commitment to the understanding of the present moment, and we can't think that in a way, you can consider it carefully, but it can't be understood by what we normally understand by thinking. It has to be a careful consideration of what of the implications of that. What does it really mean when you say whatever? Because they can, and people, bhikkhus, other bhikkhus or other lay people, can tick all the boxes, like, oh yes, they look very nice. The flowers, it looks very generous, but that will not necessarily be any indication that there has to be kusala. It's not defined by behavior necessarily. There may be, and this is why it's said time and time again that the teachings are subtle. They are subtle, and the more that can be appreciated, the more, in many ways, respect there has to be for that commitment to truth. When Tanajan talks about this aspect of being truthful to the truth, which you brought up a moment ago, it's a sincerity, not that you know it all, because I think we've got remarkable levels of ignorance, so much that unless there's a kind of, I don't leave, because it's words that can't convey in a way. We must use words, but there has to be a sincerity and almost a humility that there's much to know, and I need to consider carefully what I'm hearing. I need to consider carefully what that truth may be, rather than thinking what it's like. So it's not about the words, it's about ultimately the understanding.
Right. Thank you. And getting back to your example, Leanne, about buying flowers to offer the Buddha statue, if kusala is involved there, it will be respect rather than generosity, because one's not giving anything to someone. One's showing respect by making the offering. There are examples in the Tipitaka of lay people, for example, who saw a monk and appreciated the monk's obvious kusala because of his demeanor or some aspect of his lifestyle or talk. So not based on understanding of the Dhamma, there can still be kusala for a person who is virtuous, seen as being virtuous, and who is virtuous. So yes, that can be the basis for kusala. But I don't think that applies in the kind of situations we've been discussing.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, so offering flowers to the Buddha, statue of the Buddha, can be, we don't know, right, the intention, but it can be a moment of respect. Is that what you said, Jonathan?
Well, in the case of offering flowers to the Buddha,
Yeah.
that would presumably be kusala if it's based on understanding of either the teaching or the Buddha's other virtues,
Okay. Yeah, okay.
which not his understanding, but the fact that he had eradicated all unwholesomeness, for example.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But where it's a nice occasion and everyone's sort of doing kusala, making merit together, honestly, I don't feel there's any kusala involved in those situations. If it was me there wouldn't be. It'd just be a very pleasant occasion that everyone's being so nice and showing their devotion or whatever.
Thank you. So that's all for me.
Jonathan, hearing you say making merit, I know it's a common expression in English and it's certainly in Thailand it's used frequently, but it's
almost a contradiction in terms.
oxymoron.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Well, we could say the same about doing good also.
Yes.
When we properly understood. It's not
right.
There's no doing good.
That's right. There's
It's just kusala
Yeah.
citta that's motivating the bodily action.
Right.
Or being good, being bad, both the same.
That's right. There's no one. Yeah.
But it takes a while to appreciate this and to appreciate that the kusala has to arise naturally if it's to be kusala.
Yes. And it takes a while to understand the difference. If you feel that I doing things is natural, then it won't be understood. You have to have a sense. There's no I, there's no self, there's no doer.
I think I was getting at the aspect that if one if it's a set occasion and that sort of thing, then it's not naturally spontaneous kusala. It may be that in that set occasion one feels some pleasant feeling because everyone else is being so nice.
How unusual.
But this is not the
it could be purely ritualistic, like a rite and a ritual.
Yes.
That's what I've been thinking. Yeah.
Yes. But we can't know others' jittas, and
It's true.
this is theoretic. There could be moments where there are kusala jittas, spontaneous. Just because you've been invited to a place to quote make merit doesn't mean that there couldn't be kusala jittas arising naturally and spontaneously.
Right. And of course, we don't have to think about whether it's kusala on the part of the others.
No, because we can't know.
No, and we can't know, and it's not our business to anyway. It doesn't help to even make that kind of judgment or comparison. But as in terms of what is kusala, what is and what is not, we can just say that doing something out of the arrangement of others is unlikely to be kusala.
And one could only know for oneself, not others, as to whether there are moments of kusala.
Yeah, there can be useful moments of reflection on such occasions, for example.
Yes.
Mm.
I think it really shows that, you know, because it's very hard to know gusala from agusala unless it's really gross. But even then, you know, we're talking about the supposedly generosity of flowers and stuff. We don't know if it's kusala or agusala. Only understanding can know, and I think that's the main issue, that unless there is understanding, there will not be any knowing whether it's kusala or agusala. So the importance of wisdom is great.
And the point that I made before was without understanding, all that clinging, presenting the flowers and having fun together, it would be taken for kusala because the Buddha's statue is there. So the more understanding, the more the kusala is understood for what it is. There's less taking it for being kusala.
It's ritual to some extent, but again, one can't know unless one's understanding that will only one's understanding will help people to know. It's only one's understanding that can know whether it's kusala or not, and it's not one's understanding. It's understanding.
Okay, we're running out of time. Ajahn, would you like to add any comments to any of these topics?
So what's the meaning of giving? We talk about giving flowers and such very good thing to the Buddha, right? What for? Does he enjoy it or what? Or what is meant by giving?
Leanne, I think these questions are for you on behalf of everyone.
Why do we give?
Of course, the Buddha is not there to enjoy the flowers, Ajahn. But I think like in any occasion, people would bring in food and flowers and to celebrate like an occasion, a special occasion. So I don't know, Ajahn. So like Jonathan pointed out earlier, like when you're giving, that means there have to be receiver. So in this case, I don't know. I can't answer the question.
Why do we give? Why do we give?
Normally would be for the benefit of others.
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
And what is the best gift?
The
For
Dhamma.
the benefit of the others, see?
Yeah. Understanding of the Dhamma is the best.
There's no understanding, just give to the poor, different from giving to the one we respect. See?
Yeah.
This moment at the time, but the best moment is understanding anatta. Always forget. We just talk about everything as atta, or the best thing to give is the understanding of anatta, better than all. That's why the Buddha is the best giver. For the other to understand the truth, which is right now, hasn't been known before at all. So we don't just think about giving as parami, but it is to have less attachment with the idea of I. That's why at moment of giving, it depends on that moment. What level of understanding is there? No understanding at all, or understanding that at that moment the receiver needs it for his own health or good moment. That's why there are so many conditioned realities unknown. So what's the best? It's to understand the reality, which is not anyone, or just to give and find out by what condition and what is the and intention of giving and so on. That's why in life, no understanding of the truth at all. Whatever happens in life, we try to find out what is it. And that's why the realities are hidden again, on and on and on and on by conditions. That's why understanding the precious moment in life is not to try to understand the moment of giving and so on, but to understand Dhamma firmer and firmer. Otherwise, one is pulled away, dragged away to understand this moment, and on and on and on. Because so many subjects, so many topics, and not understanding it all. Just find out what's the answer of it. But the subtle one is the Dhamma at that moment. That's why if we try to find out, helping the others to find out, what about the understanding of that moment of no one, not anyone at all, not anything at all, only that which appears and disappears. So the most precious moment is not just give, but the understanding of the moment, when the moment of giving. See, at moment of giving, is there any moment with understanding of the nature of that which is giving? That's why all dhammas are anatta, always forgotten, and think about other things. That's why we talk about it again and again and again, to condition moment of not forgotten, what has learned, what has been understood, not forgotten. Otherwise, the other condition is there by accumulation. So right understanding has to understand even that moment of giving, should it be known as it is, and without understanding a little more of the truth, can there be any understanding of no one at moment of giving? And what is there, even at moment of giving, eating, drawing, or whatever is there? All are dhammas. All dhammas are anatta. Little by little, it can condition of understanding what reality is there at that moment, because it's strong enough, it's firm enough just to understand that. As we have heard, for example, touching at moment of giving is there, and hearing about the truth, on and on and on, so firm, conditioned moment of awareness of the truth of a reality at that very moment, but only by conditions. That's why great patience is there, not to consider anything as the self or the I and so on, but to understand the nature of that moment. And by that development of understanding, it understands the truth of that moment, even at moment of giving, but not by way of atta, the world of self, the world of atta, but understand little by little what is there. Otherwise, never be the moment of being aware with understanding. Just like now, see? And now, and now, and now, on and on. No attention to the reality of that which is there, just in split second, and then gone. That's why it takes quite long time to be new habits, to consider more what is the most precious in life. At moment of understanding what is there, which is so very, very difficult, very, very hard, because the condition for thinking about other things has been accumulated quite so long. So how can there be the conditions for beginning to understand it, even right now? It's that which should be known. That's why the best gift is understanding the teachings. And it's so pleasant for the receiver haven't heard about the truth before. Because in life, we receive many things, flowers and things, but not any understanding of the truth of this very moment. So what would you like to give and what would you like to receive? See, parami. Without parami, patience to listen, to study, to see, to understand what is the most precious in life. It's moment of understanding. Right now, it's like giving or receiving the truth. Received from the enlightenment and give at any time with to share to the other rather than flowers and incense stick and so on. Otherwise, no time to consider what is there at all if there's no hearing again and again and again about what is there now. We just learned about merit or kusala, but there is doubt what moment is kusala and what moment is akusala. It cannot be told at all. Only right understanding, which understand sharper, a little more clear, to understand, to appreciate the teachings of the Buddha. Not any moment, without moment of hearing right now, no thought about other thing, but begin to understand it. When there's no understanding of what just is there now, it's impossible to understand the truth of what Buddha realized. And we receive his kindness, friendliness, the best thing to give to the others, understanding the truth.
Thank
And
you so
I
much.
think that it's time now to
Yes,
say,
Sawadee Ka,
Sawadee
Ajahn.
Ka.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Ajahn.